The great Greek geometer Euclid, around 300 BC, pointed out that vision is an active process. If you're looking for a pin and suddenly you see the pin, what your experience changes because you've now identified where it is. It's an active seeking, and now it looks different once you've seen and recognized the pin. Materialist thinking about the brain is extraordinarily local. It localizes all these things actually inside the head. But within the sciences, since the 19th century, we now have a much broader view of matter and the way that nature is organized. And this is broadened through the concept of fields, first introduced into science by Michael Faraday in relation to electric and magnetic fields, then through Einstein's general theory of relativity, taken to include the gravitational field. And there are many fields in science now. Fields are defined as regions of influence. They're usually invisible. The gravitational field of the Earth is in the Earth, but extends far beyond it. The reason we're not floating in the air at the moment is because it's holding us down to the ground. It's invisible. This room is full of it, but we can't see it. It holds the moon in its orbit. It stretches far beyond the Earth. The gravitational field of the moon affects the tides on the Earth. So these are invisible fields with enormous effects at a distance, even though you can't see them. Gravitational, electrical and magnetic fields also stretch out beyond physical objects. A magnetic field stretches out far beyond the magnet. You can reveal its lines of force through sprinkling iron filings around it, but the field itself is invisible. And the electromagnetic fields of your mobile telephone are within the mobile telephone, but stretch invisibly beyond it. This room is full of radio transmissions from mobile phones, from radio and television programs. The world is full of invisible fields. This is a revelation of 19th and 20th century science, which I don't think has been taken on board by people thinking about materialist theories of the brain. And what I'd like to suggest is that our fields of our minds stretch out far beyond our bodies. They stretch out invisibly, and our consciousness is related to and based on these fields. That if we're going to solve the hard problem, taking into account fields of the mind may be a very important ingredient, as well as studying processes within the brain. The easiest way to see what I'm talking about is indeed through vision. What's going on when you see something? Well, everybody knows that light comes into the eyes. Ever since Johann Kepler in 1604 worked out that there were inverted images on the retina, we know that the lens focuses the light in each eye. You have a small inverted image on your retina. Changes happen in the cone cells and the rod cells. Impulses travel up the optic nerve. Changes happen in various regions of the brain. All this has been mapped and scanned in greater detail than ever before. But the mysterious part is then what happens next. How do you create images, three-dimensional, full-color images, which Anil calls controlled hallucinations? How does the brain create those? They're all supposed to be inside your head, representations of the outer world. So I can see you sitting there, you can see me here, but all of you are supposed to be inside my head, as lots of faces and the whole of this room is meant to be. And inside your head is supposed to be a little Rupert somewhere inside your brain. That's not what we actually experience. What we actually experience is that our images are out there. Your image of me, I'm imagining, is where I'm actually standing right now, and my image of you is where you are. So this one-way theory of vision, which we've all grown up with, which comes from Kepler, the intromission theory of vision, sending in intromission, is taken to be the standard scientific view. But there's another and older theory of vision, the extramission theory, that says not only does light come in, but the images we see are projected out. So my images of you are where they seem to be. They're in my mind. They're in my consciousness, but they're not inside my head. They're where you're sitting. Now, this idea is familiar. It was familiar to the ancient Greeks. It's familiar to people all over the world. The developmental psychologist Jean Piaget showed that young European children, in his book The Child's Conception of the World, think that they're projecting out images, that they take it for granted. So this is, in fact, a very deep-seated way of thinking about vision. And Euclid, the great geometer, used it to explain in the first really clear way how mirrors work. What happens when you look at something in a mirror is the light is reflected from the mirror. The angle of incidence, the angle of reflection are the same. But what happens then is you project out the images, which go straight through the mirror, being virtual, mental projections, and you see virtual images behind the mirror. And Euclid's theory is still there in school textbooks to explain mirrors. All of you, no doubt, have seen these diagrams. They involve little dotted lines behind the mirror that go to what's called a virtual image behind the mirror, a projection of the mind behind the mirror. And so this extramission, a sending out theory of vision, is actually taught to all school children, even though within most of science it's regarded as a total heresy. Intromission is the only permissible theory in biology and psychology, whereas in optics, which comes under physics, extramission is the standard theory. And no wonder it's confusing. People are taught two completely different theories of vision. Now, at Ohio State University, Gerald Weiner, who's a professor of psychology, was shocked to find that most adults and children he interviewed believed in visual extramission, something going out of the eyes. Even his own psychology undergraduates believed it. So he called this a fundamental misunderstanding of visual perception. And he decided to re-educate them. And he and his colleagues told them forcefully over and over again, nothing goes out of the eyes when you look at something. And after repeated drilling with this into the students, when they were tested immediately after this denial of extramission teaching, they gave the correct answers. But when they tested them 3 to 5 months later, almost all of them had reverted to their previous views. They were dismayed at this failure of scientific education.